time, so I'm good.
Oh yeah, it's funny how your homegirl got you hyped up for today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm good.
and it's the support system that we have.
Mhm,
It's such a beautiful thing. Like that's like literally why I came up with Certified Corner. Like
mhm,
it's literally all about finding a way to attack personal development, and one side of personal development is the support systems, like
mm,
creating a true support system. And the fact that you the fact that you have a homegirl that literally supports you with
right,
such vigor, like I'll say with such
mhm,
vigor, with such excitement, is something that
right,
a lot of us don't get a chance to experience. And
mhm,
I've known you for the past few years now, and you're somebody who has done a really good job of being your own support system at times.
right.
And I want to kick off this conversation with, for you, Steph, if you don't mind introducing yourself, give a little bit more of your background. But I would love for people to hear, how do you develop a support system for yourself when there's no one really around you, if you don't mind. Like, just to get things off started,
Yeah,
I had to ask that question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm Stephanie Marks. Born and raised in Florida. Um, just I've always been a caregiver, like since I was little. So like caregiving has been my thing. I do it now with my aunt, my brother. Um, just I've had a support system. And my main support system was my mom, which I lost 15 years ago. And I went inward, and that was like, I didn't have anybody necessarily on the outside. Like, everybody grieved differently. So we all internalized it. And I really didn't get through that until 8 years later, 8, 9 years later. I was in a situation to where I had to sit still. and it just sat with God really, and He helped me heal. And it's a journey. Healing is a journey, and you ask for support. God's your main one, and then God. You ask for support, and people just come to you because God puts them in your life. My own support system. I've always been self sufficient. I've always had to be the strong one, and some people think that's like a bad thing. Yeah, we do need, support from time to time, but to be the strong one, um, you gain self sufficiency. You just learn how to deal with stuff, unfortunately and fortunately, because it makes you stronger, but there's no one really there to catch you but you. But I think it's great. Like, you don't have to worry about people in your business, so to speak. Like, it could go that way. But just yeah, just it's just the way I'm built. I'm built. Like,
And
you know.
you dive in. Go ahead. I had to cut you off.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I love the being the strong one, and that has nothing to do with physical strength. It
Mm-mm.
has everything to do with the ability to stand on your own 2 feet and deal with life's punches, but also having the resilience spiritually to keep going. It's funny. It's funny when we talk about, there's a difference. There's like a fine line between being self-made and self-sufficient.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think people misconstrued the two. When you're self-sufficient, being self-sufficient doesn't mean you have resentment towards others, or you don't allow others to help if they are genuine in that way.
Right.
Being self-sufficient is an understanding of that, if there is a moment where I am alone, I can be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and you even get deeper into that, that's not being introverted.
No.
because I think being introverted and extroverted is a decision. You decided to be introverted. You
Right.
decided to stay inside. You decided to be alone. Or me, I'm choosing to be outward to others. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm also, even though I'm outward towards others, I can still stand on my own 2 feet. I'm still sufficient enough as a man, whether it's financially, spiritually, whatever. I can be self sufficient. And that comes from either your environment, that comes from your own willpower, and
Mm-hmm.
that just comes from your the faith. I wouldn't even say the faith, but the belief that that you're going to be okay.
Right.
And then
Mm-hmm.
when you get a grasp of knowing that you're okay, it's actually so crazy. Once you accept that you're okay, you'll be so surprised how many resources out there start opening up themselves to you
Oh
because
yes.
now you've been okay. And was there ever a moment where for yourself you were like, okay, I'm now self sufficient, but I feel like there's gaps in my me being me. Did you ever realize, like, once you became self sufficient, were there moments where you're like, wait a minute, I feel there's a gap in my development. I feel there's a gap in my mindset that needs to get taken care of if I want to be able to elevate. Were there moments like that once you decided you're like, okay, I'm self sufficient. I am the
Mm-hmm.
strong man, strong woman, for people out there, but I'm the
Mm-hmm.
strong person in the room. Where were those? Where did you find gaps in your development where you're like, you know what? I need to go handle that. I need to go develop even more. Were there moments for you like that?
Oh, absolutely. Life is full of them. Um, like I've always technically kind of been self-sufficient. Like I've been the only child up until my brother was born, and those 9 years, all I could do was play by myself. So, like being by myself and being self-sufficient and being able to handle things on my own have been, like natural. But to fill in the gaps, to know where I was, happened about, like, to really like be aware of it, happened about a couple 2 3 years ago. But it's the same amount of time I've gotten into business, like right after, shortly after I got into personal development and listening to Nano. And from there it's just been tests, 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 tests. And I realized that my anger is a blessing and a curse. Like, it gives me the assertiveness, but I'm not as considerate with my words. Um, so I had to be in control of that, get control of that. I'm doing amazingly well. Just pat on my back, because it's only been 2 3 years,
Look,
but the
that's
amount of the amount of control and awareness and the I'm trying to think of the word. Just the awareness of knowing what I'm doing in the moment. Like, I'll be mad and take a millisecond to think, do I want to say this? And once I'll say, yeah, go ahead. And then I'll say, no, that's not correct, or that's not the proper way to use my words. And the one thing, and I know I'm being a dead horse with you because you've heard this before, is being impeccable with your word. And the Four Agreements has been, I don't want to like idolize it, but been like close to like the Bible in a sense, to where I am so aware of words, I'll be quiet. I won't talk the whole day. You won't hear a peep. Like, this is the most I've talked today, to be honest. I've become so much aware of words that I'm quiet, and I'm aware of other people's words. And I've seen words manifest itself not only through me, but family members. I lost a brother. I have a lot. That's another story. I lost a brother 5 years ago, and I had another situation to where I had to stay with him for a little while, and we would sit up and talk. and it would be like, oh, I won't be able to see my kids, or I won't be able to see my kids grow up. I won't live to see 30. And he was just speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking it. And lo and behold, he died before he was 30, and he's not here to see his kids grow up. And um, for me, I used to say, because I do, I got a guilty pleasure. I used to do scratch off. And I would try and look at the car. I'm like, oh, my eyes getting bad. I'm getting da da da. And my eyes getting better now, but I lost some sight in my eye. But like, words have to come to pass. They have to come to pass, no matter what you say. They have to come to pass. And as little as it is, like, oh, I'm tired, and then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, you yawn or you feel a little tired. They have to come to pass, no matter what. And with the 4 agreements, to me, the first agreement is being impeccable with your word, but the other one is like support it in a sense. Like, don't don't take things personal, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I believe they help it or reinforce it. Reinforce being impeccable with your word. So, like, it's a great book, and to I because I'm choosing my words, that's why I pause. Like, I'm this careful with my words that, like, this is why, like, it's so word people are really haphazardly using words, and it's just like when you sit back and you listen, it's like, wow, like, people are just throwing stuff out there, just all willy-nilly, just like spreading seeds everywhere. I'm like, yo, it's just mind-blowing. And it's just like, you can go ahead and say something, because I like my words. I'm trying to find them, but like, I'm so like, I'm trying to be so intentional with my words. It's But you can go ahead
No,
if
you
you.
know, it's
Yeah.
it makes sense when
Mhm.
when we talk about words. We have to, and I hate that the education system has really stepped away from this. When I was
Mhm.
coming to school, we learned about STEM words. We learned about the STEM and how every word has a history behind it. Every word is rooted somewhere,
Right.
right? I was having a conversation on the last episode with my boy Sam, and and we talked about words. We talked about no, it was my boy with Hadith, and we're
Okay.
talking about how the word con, in content,
Mhm.
conversation, convene, starts with the same stem, which means to
Mhm.
connect, which means like to be in it means to connect something, right?
Mhm.
To be thorough, right? What con means is to be thorough. Like when you're a convict, you're thoroughly committing a crime. You've
Right.
thoroughly committed it. When you're
Mhm.
connecting the dots, you're thoroughly taking two pieces of information and bringing them together.
Mhm.
Even if you look at the word mediums, when you're looking at social media,
Mhm.
MEDI is meaty means middle, right?
Mhm.
So social media, like visual media, written media, those are mediums at which information is being transferred from the ether into the physical.
Right.
So being impeccable with your word is not just being hyper aware. Being impeccable with your word is understanding that what you do say will somehow manifest itself in the physical at some point. You
Mhm.
know, like great example. While you were talking, I was coughing. I promise you, I was literally yesterday feeling absolute trash. Still get
Mhm.
your podcasts, mind you, because I
Right.
said I'm gonna get these done regardless of how I feel. And
Mhm.
am I 100% right now? No, not by a mile. But at the end of the day, I was talking to a friend of mine. I said I refuse to be sick. I refuse.
Mhm.
I refuse to let my body not feel well. And it's so crazy how you spoke so much about not being able to see the scratch off, you lose vision. And
Mhm.
rest in peace to your brother. But as an example, you
Mm-hmm.
speak and you speak lack, then don't be surprised when that stuff comes forward.
Right.
You know, and it's in this realm that we exist in. The word itself, the like words itself, have to travel and go somewhere, and they have to be absorbed or rebounded by something else.
Yes.
And that's why even when I got in trouble, it's actually a funny story. I got in trouble in high school for my words. Like that was the first time in my life that I felt that my words had consequences. I'd never been punched, I'd never been in a fight before. But when I got
Mm-hmm.
suspended in high school for literally verbally bullying somebody, bullying people on a Google Doc, got suspended for it. Of course, my parents made me clean the baseboards because you know that's what we got to do: clean the baseboards, take
Mm-hmm.
the phone away, etc. But that was the first time that looking back at it now, it was the first time that I learned that your words have consequences,
Mm-hmm.
or your words can be blessings. And I think people get scared to speak their mind because not only are they afraid of they're afraid of the unknown consequence, but
Mm-hmm.
they also don't realize, some people don't realize that your word is a blessing. That somebody needs to hear your voice to
Right.
give them strength to keep going or to be relatable. Good, bad, or indifferent, like podcasting. Great example of using your words to convey a message. Is that message good or is it bad? Doesn't matter, but it's going to rebound or have consequence at some point in your life. And for you, Steph, to be able to have the minute ability to be hyper aware of your words, is that a practice? Is that something that you practice? Is that something that people can practice? Or is that something more you kind of have to face, you kind of have to bump your head to then learn that your words have consequences? What do you think? Is it if it's one of those two situations, is it something that you practice? That's why you've gotten this good in 2 to 3 years? Or is it more of a situation where you said something, you faced the consequence for it, and then you're like, you know what? I need to be careful with my words.
Yeah. It's a combination of both. I've always been aware of words in a sense because I've had to be careful of my surroundings growing up. Like since I was 4, um, you know, certain family members did certain things and their words didn't match their actions. So I've always had a sense of how words work, but these past 3 years, I've honestly been intentional in um I've honestly been intentional of being careful with my words and like and you get more you when you're aware of words, you realize how much negative words are just in the air. And like my aunt, she has dementia, but she's always said, "Oh, I can't remember this, I can't remember that. Oh, I'm getting old, and this, that, and third." And now she's in the beginning stage of dementia, and she'll say stuff now. She'll say stuff towards me. It's like, "Oh, it sucks getting old, doesn't it?" I'll be like, "Hmm." Like I'll acknowledge her, but I won't agree with it. And in my mind, I'm saying, I refuse. That is not my reality. I reject it. And that takes practice because I used to say it aloud. Now I can say it in my mind subconsciously and I'm deflecting it now. But yeah, it can be taught. You can practice it. It takes time. Um, you will get discouraged sometimes, with your words just to be impeccable. And
Yeah.
you have to be able to stop yourself in the moment and reaffirm yourself positively. Say, okay, I was like, oh, that was stupid. No, no, I just made a decision that didn't go the way I wanted to.
Take
Make it just
right.
change the direction of your words. And I even like right now, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'll have a moment where I get mad and be like, and I'll just go off for a second, and I'll allow myself to be mad and sit in that feeling for a minute, but then I'll come back and speak positively because I know like your words have power, so I'll grab it
Right.
and I'll like redirect it
And
into being more positive.
it's so funny. I like how you talked about redirecting and deflection.
Mm-hmm.
I want the audience to understand that deflecting negative energy is only half the battle. You now gotta physically move like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one thing that we kind of hide behind in the social media area is that I can say whatever I want to with my thumbs and not really face any consequences. Whether you're like a meme page or a bot page, you know how it is. Like you'll go on some of the most popular pages on like the Shade Room, certain pages like Juju. Like there's a lot of pages or Justin LeBoy. Never see their face,
Mm-hmm.
don't know who they are, but yet they get to promote X content. And since they've able to detach who they are to what they say, they get to continue to say what they want to say, but there's no direct consequence because they have detached themselves, which
Mm-hmm.
is fine. But I think about it as like I don't want to do that in a cowardice way. If I'm going to say what I'm going to say, I'm gonna mean it. I'm gonna speak it because this is truth. This is reality. You just said an example of your aunt. Your aunt says, "Man, it sucks getting old, doesn't it?" And you're like, "No, mm-mm, mm-mm. Nope. I'm young. I'm youthful. I'm live. I'm alive. I'm thankful." But that's a muscle you got to practice,
Yes.
and you have the muscle to practice. And what's interesting, which people call corny, I remember in my notebook. I have a notebook under my feet right here, where
Mm-hmm.
I used to write 10 times a day, every day, that I'm so happy and grateful that I'm alive. But especially when I was dealing with my suicide issues,
Right.
I affirmed. And if you're not able to speak your words, write your words. Get good
Mm-hmm.
at writing. And you'll be so surprised how much is up here.
Right.
And I was having like just alluding to a conversation I previously had. You went through the process of working the muscle of affirming yourself. So much to the point where it becomes a subconscious action. But yet there has to be a conscious decision to keep doing it up front. And so what I did is, well, shout out to you for the book, because I got it right here, which is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I made the conscious decision to journal. I made the conscious decision to write down, I'm so happy and grateful X, Y, and Z. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people laugh at it. A lot of people say that. But in one of the most powerful books that we have, Thinking You're Rich, it literally says in the book to do that.
Yep.
It literally says in the book to affirm yourself of riches, of wealth. Does that mean you're going to become wealthy? No. Does that mean you're automatically supposed to be rich by association? No. But what that does, it at least alleviates the stress of the negative energy that's around you. And so now you can begin to move through whatever physical space that you're in towards
Mm-hmm.
abundance and then be able to receive it. It's almost like think about it like a storage cabinet. If you got too much stuff in your storage cabinet, then there's absolutely, and you buy a brand new toy or you buy a brand new jacket, you got nowhere to hang up that new jacket because you fill up your storage with things that don't fit,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't fit you. You've grown, but yet you're trying to still hold on to things that don't fit.
Right.
And it's time for you to resize. It's time for you to get new measurements. It's time for you to find out what it is now. Like when I was like, and yes, I'm attaching this to working out in the word, but like stick with me for a second. If
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym every day, at some point I am going to lose weight. It is just the fact of it. If I eat right and go to the gym, 90% of my health problems are going to go away. But
Yep.
I have to tell myself that I need to go to the gym today. And there's nobody else that is going to do this but me. And at some point, your physical body is going to react to the conscious decisions or words you tell yourself in reality. If you tell yourself you're ugly, then you're going to start getting acne. You're going to start getting these things.
Right.
Or even when people say negative things like, oh my God, I'm overweight because of I'm overweight or I'm not attractive. And I'm like, okay, but The only reason why we say that sometimes is because we're looking at what we conceive as healthy or what we conceive as beautiful
Mm-hmm.
versus saying, wow, wow, this woman or this dude, they're a great looking dude. That's what's up. I'm great looking as well, but I have some things to work on. Totally different way you said it. You still, you know, how you talked about that there's a level of acceptance in the word,
Mm-hmm.
but that right there, man, it takes you through that process. And
Yeah.
for you, 2 to 3 years was not easy. I would
No.
assume it was not easy. But was there a why on was there a reason why you wanted to change the way you change your words? Like, was there something that I know you answered the question of like it's a mixture of both on why you did it, but like I want to dive deeper into in your 2 to 3 years when you were consciously making the decision
Mm-hmm.
to be more impeccable with your word. Were there moments in that journey of 2 to 3 years where
Mm-hmm.
you were like, man, forget this, bro, or I'm seeing no immediate results from this work that I'm putting in, and I should just I should just give up. This is lame. Did you? I bet you had those moments. You're just like, this is the dumbest thing I'm doing right now, but I
Yeah.
got to do it.
Yeah. There's been times like, oh, this is so redundant. Like, why? Like, yeah. There's been times that like right before I wouldn't say quit. That's not right before I would stop doing a certain thing. Like I was journaling at one point, and um, I was like, oh, this is getting so tiring. So it would come to pass, like right before, because God is God. Me and God, we hear. Me and God, we hear. But sometimes He's like, you know what? Boop. Um,
He'll pop in.
yeah,
He's gonna pop in one time for the one time. Wake you up and be like, "Hey,
mhm,
Steph, still here,
yeah,
still here." Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But um, yeah, there's been times where like I didn't think I would catch it. And then all of a sudden, because I did it so repetitively, it clicked. Like I would hear something negative and my subconscious would be like, I reject that. I was like, well, okay, it's working. I kind of remember it was like about a couple years ago. I was like, oh, okay, it's working. Like, so I would just do it, and I thought I didn't catch it quite subconsciously yet. So I would still reaffirm it, audibly. But yeah, there's been times where I was like, ugh. But I did it for me. Like there's certain things that I've done I like fell short on, I didn't finish, and it would be like midway or I would just get like a quarter way through. I'm like, screw it, I don't want to do it. I wanted to accomplish like something, and I want that's what pushed me to finish and do. Like I wanted to prove to myself, like other people. Yeah, I'm like I said, I've been self sufficient. It's more like me, and it sounds selfish, but it's not selfish
yeah,
because it's you 24/7. So you gotta be proud of you and encourage you, and believe in yourself and to move forward.
yeah.
So
And you see, you speak on selfish, and I didn't mean to cut your wisdom,
yeah,
but
no.
it's the word. It's so funny. We're talking about words, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first four letters in selfish anyway?
Self. Mm-hmm. So it's for
It's,
yourself.
it's for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the self, and I get selfish. I understand selfish has a negative connotation to it, but there
Mm-hmm.
is that self that we need to recognize in selfish. But
Yeah.
continue, continue. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
mean to cut you. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Because self is self care. Like I don't like really like it's called self. I mean, personal development. I like to call it self development because you are developing yourself, and development is a process. It's a lifelong process. Now, with me, like that's my understanding of it. So like, and you're with yourself 24/7, like I said, you just have to want to do more and be more. And that's kind of my why. That is my why, like to be self sufficient and do for self and be better so I can help others. And you have to develop the mentality for it because I I'm a listener and I have people who confide in me and their stories will blow other people's minds.
Right.
Like I had all kinds of situations told to me and I know some people that would break. I God blessed me with the capacity to hold it or receive it, and He also gave me the skill to let it go and give it to Him and pray about it and release it because it is heavy once you release that. I mean, once you receive that information from someone, whatever situation they had, be it especially if it's a negative situation, and God has blessed me to receive it and have the capacity to receive it, and also the ability to let it go. So I'm really thankful about that. But yeah, moreover, it's me is my why. Yeah.
it's it's your it's the knowing that you are built for more, or that you've been called to serve in some capacity,
Right.
that motivates you to continue to pour into your own cup, continue to be selfish and take care of you, right?
Hmm.
And continue your self development, because you know that either it's your story, either it's your reality, either it's your experiences can help somebody else. And as somebody, I love to help others. Like, I have a natural inclination to do so. I have
Hmm.
a natural inclination to give energy out into the world. But there are many times myself where I was drained from giving
Yeah.
so much energy, where I would be, I want to say burnt out, because burnt out and drained are different.
Hmm.
Being drained of your energy is when, oh, great example. Imagine hugging somebody who's been in a really rough patch, and you just absorb all of that energy off of them. And then now they feel better, but you
Hmm.
feel absolutely drained.
Right.
It's nothing bad, but just I think a lot of us have experienced that when something really,
Hmm.
really bad happened and you hug somebody or you're around their environment and it's just like sucking the life out of you. But you love them. But
Hmm.
you understand that that negative energy really drains you out versus being burnt out.
Hmm.
And being burnt out is when you expose or exude your energy out into the world
That.
and nothing is returning back. And you continue to do that. Yeah, I know that we always talk about, doing two things, doing one thing, doing two things at the same way with expecting different results is the form of insanity.
Right.
But being burnt out, it's not, you don't have to do the same thing all the time to feel burnt out, but there's a level of where you've given so much, you're giving so much, you're giving so much,
Hmm.
and you might be quite enjoyed, but then you're like, man, I am drained, I am burnt. Like, I can't give anymore. And that's what we have to reconcile with, how to balance out those levels. How can we how can we balance out when it's time to give and when it's time to receive versus when it's time to not say nothing at all? And that's where this ties into the word, where for your in your case, it's hard to, I wouldn't say it's hard. Let's work on our words today. It is a ongoing challenge
Yeah.
to know how to receive negative feedback, conceptualize with it, empathize with it, and then turn around and produce a product to uplift. It's hard to do,
Yes.
but it takes practice. But what's so funny, I always wonder, why don't people want to do that? Why do people not want to try to develop that skill? Like, what's the fear? I never could figure out what is the fear of people wanting to go out and meet other people, help others. I want to say help, but get to know other people, be
Hmm.
able to serve in a unique way. Like, why is it almost that people are so easy to say something online, but then when it comes to being in person, mute. Nothing.
Right.
But you were so confident with your thumbs, but you weren't confident with your lips.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost that social media has become this outlet to just say whatever you want without putting any meaning behind it. And then we wonder when we try to go out in life to find meaning, we're not receiving meaning back because we put out, whether you like it or not, social media is still another medium you're putting energy into.
Yes.
You put all this negative energy into social media, you're bashing people, you're clowning people, you're a troll, whatever the troll is, and then you walk around and you wonder why people call you a troll, why people don't want to be around you. Then you're like, and you ask yourself, you look dumbfounded. You're like, but why am I? Why? Why am I not? Why people don't like me? Why don't people receive me? Well, people don't understand. You said Shorty is fat, but
Right.
then you saw that Shorty was fat, but then you don't know who saw your message. And that the person who saw your message knows the girl that you made fun of. And then that person knows somebody who knows you.
Mm-hmm.
And now that turns around. It's like it's great example. Be careful what you say online because we have seen numerous times again where you said something crazy online and you got fired for it.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't teach people a lesson of being impeccable with your word and talking about your word, imagine what happens when you put positive stuff online about. Then you
Mm-hmm.
start getting those messages from people hitting you up. You're like, man, bro, like if it wasn't for what you said, bro, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
And for you, I want to stick on this word conversation because this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
hard because I'm running out of words to really
Mhm.
explain the magnitude of this conversation because we can go on for hours on how powerful the word is.
Oh yeah.
But we discussed the dangers of using the word and how
Mm-hmm.
dangerous it could be. We also discussed your journey into becoming better with your words. So I want to speak about Steph now.
Okay.
What is Steph doing now that somebody who's listening to this can duplicate you and how you can make better with your words? Is it through reading? Is it through I'm I feel like I'm giving multiple choice question here,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll leave it open ended. What does Steph do today to continue to practice and ensure that the words that she's exuding out of her mouth out into the world are the
Mm-hmm.
best choice of words she can? How do you do that? How can somebody start doing that?
Being quiet.
So like
Being
observing? Okay, but not okay. Quiet,
okay.
but not
Like
okay.
yeah. Just I don't talk a lot. Um, and when I do talk a lot, when I do speak, I want like I've always had this in my mind. Like I know I'm quiet, and I when I speak, I want my words to be profound or touch somebody or help somebody in some type of way. So I've always been quiet. On top of, I have a slight learning disability to where I have to like read what I say when I text. So sometimes when it take a minute to text you back, I'm actually reading what I said. Or when I
Mm,
post a line, I'm making sure I'm saying exactly what I said in my mind. Because I'll miss a word. I'm like, oh, I need that word. Oh, I need that word. So I'm always,
no spell
I've
check.
been,
We not no spell check. We not gonna let see no
yeah,
spell
no,
check here.
yeah, no, I reread what I said. But to now, you have to be quiet, like to sit still and look at how your words have played out in your life so far. Um, and find out what you intend your words to be. What intentions do you have for your words?
So like
Like,
intention for you say intention for your words. Like are you
what do you want
is your
your words to? Do you want them to be positive? Do you want Are you speaking like it? It breaks off into like aspects of life. How do you want to function as a person? Like, I want to be positive.
Right.
I want to help. I want to be helpful and inspire and move people, and just even wherever they are, I want to help them along the way. So me personally, I'm intentional with my words now. Like, but to start, you just be still, find your intent of words, like, or how you are as a person. Are you mean? Do you always joke and say mean things? Or are you always positive? Like, you have to change your mind and how you want to go. Because some people are negative. That's how they roll. That's how they operate. I'm like, okay, that's you, not me. Like, there's a guy that was in the business before, and his platform, like, they run like jokes, like they do the dozen. It's called the dozen. It's back in the day. I'm old. Well, I'm not. See, intentional with my words.
See,
See,
see, see,
nobody's perfect.
right there.
it
Yeah, you could have just stopped with it. It was back in the day.
yeah,
It was back
it
in
was
the
back
day.
in the day. See, boom. Um, and he has a group called Shit Talkers. Excuse my language, but that's what it's called. And they just run like your mama jokes and this kind of this, and like, I talk to them, but I don't want that energy about me. That's To me, that's the negative energy bringing people down. Like, yeah, it's funny in the context that you put in it, but it's technically negative because they're gonna think about it subconsciously later.
Right.
So I'm associated with him, but I don't mess with him. Like, I don't deal with him like that. Like that. Like, we cool and everything, but that's how intentional I am with my words and my environment and people around me, and the people I want around and I attract and things like that. Like my homegirl right before the call, I love her. Um, she was like, I had a situation yesterday, and I texted her, and she was like, that I didn't sound right to her. So she called me. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, that happens. And hold on one second. So sorry. One second. One second.
No, it is all good. You know what's so interesting that Steph was diving into as she's gonna come back. Life happens. It's that intention of what you have with your words. It's it's the level of self awareness that you have. And when it comes to being self aware, I'll use it as an example. I've always struggled with sarcasm,
Mm,
and I've been around people who are super sarcastic, and I just never, and I still to this day just it's still a struggle because there's a deep rooted issue with me being sarcastic. Like, I'm just gonna tell it as it is. Like,
yeah.
it's either I'm gonna tell it as it is or I'm gonna create a joke. Like, it's almost like sarcasm is in between
Right.
telling the truth and then trying to tell a joke, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
then being a scapegoat when someone gets offended by it. I was like, bro, I'm just being sarcastic. But
Right.
we use, for example, we use sarcasm as a way to soften the truth instead of
Mm-hmm.
just being truthful. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, but we really want them to tell them this. So let's find a sarcastic way to say something that's either full of malarkey or that's something that just is downright offensive. But we tie it up and put them in a bow and call it sarcasm.
Right.
So with that being said, but I want you to continue because I'm getting a knock now. I'll be right back. But you continue with what you were saying, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. Just it's I've been so mindful, like, to where, like I said, I'll be quiet. Um, but like I said, be still. Find out your intentions, because your intentions create the atmosphere and environment that you need to move forward. I'm always looking to be as positive as possible. I like I your words create your environment. Your words create the people around you, attract the people around you. Your words just create your reality. And you can change your reality by the words you speak. Like if you want to be get out of a negative situation, you have to start speaking positive. And it's a process because when I first started and I made a decision in my mind that I wanted to be more like actually said that like I want to be more positive, and I started speaking positively. And as I ascended in my positivity, I could see like where I was because the people around me were still where I was. And as I was ascending, I was like, whoa, I was really low and really negative thinking. So, but as I progressed, they moved out the way and the more positive people came into my life. Like there's more positive people from my past that came in. There's people from a couple years ago. There's people from a couple months ago. So like as you grow positively and as you want to be positive and speak it, it'll attract to you. So just start speaking. Be still. Uh Determine your intentions. Start speaking positive, and it will just start working for you. Like I said, everything has to come to pass. Your
You
words
know,
have to come to pass. So
and it's that environment, tying into that environment piece where people really do not believe that your words can change your reality. No, because let's look at the word reality. Let's do a little bit of wordplay, right?
mm-hmm,
You know, reality is spelled what? REALITY.
mm-hmm,
If you watch this, when you look up the meaning of ITY at the end, like ITY
mm-hmm.
is actually the suffix. That's the end of the word, but it
Right.
means forming nouns denoting quality or condition.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. If your reality is a condition, we condition ourselves to speak what's real, and
Yes.
that creates the condition. So reality is what is our reality is stemmed from the words that we believe that are real, and that will place a condition called our reality, and that will be left in our environment. So it's so interesting when you talked about the more that you once you made the conscious decision that I want to be more positive, then you started ascending and you started your perspective, your omnipresence, like looking over. You
Mm-hmm.
started to look over your life almost from a different perspective. I
Right.
call it, I call I call it like a God's eye view or bird. You know they say bird's eye view, but a
Yeah.
God's eye view.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yes.
you start looking at like, okay, I'm looking at all these different movable pieces, and then what's gonna come out of the ground and what's gonna become more prevalent. The more you start speaking certain words into reality, the same kind of people who emulate those same kind of words are going to start moving around you. In your reality, that reality is going to start coming around. So,
Mm-hmm.
but when you are going to, and I want to speak, I'll play this advocate, I'll play this other side.
Okay.
Because I want people to not miss this because we've been speaking very positive about this, but I will say
Mm-hmm.
one thing that we need to be consciously aware of. If
Yes.
you make the conscious decision to be more positive, you cannot be upset of the people that exit because that reality, your reality with them will now start to clash. Now your reality with theirs will start to clash because now what you're trying to do is formulate a whole new world, a whole
Right.
new reality. But then there's some people that are not built to be met in that reality, right? This and they will start to exit themselves because they will start to remove themselves where, oh, you know what, man, I thought you was cool, or man, you've changed. One of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest ones that everybody says, especially when you get into entrepreneurship or you try
Right.
something different, oh man, you've changed.
Mm-hmm.
Changed what? How? that you've changed because of the version of you that was real to them has changed.
Yeah.
Not you, Aaron or Steph has changed, but the person that they've built a bond with, that version is no longer existent. So that bond, that attachment is no longer there. And so there's people who want to leech onto that version of you that allows them to be whole, that makes up their reality. And so as you become to elevate in your positivity, be aware and be ready for. You need to be ready for people to literally fall off.
Literally.
Literally fall off.
Because there's uh, a person I knew for like 10 years. 10 years. I started this business and I started speaking more positively. I was like, yo, I would visit her. She's in Texas now. I would stay at her house like, yo, I manifested this, I manifested that. And she would look at me like I'm a whole different person. She literally went,
You crazy. What you
like, who is this?
wait,
She
manifest what?
literally looked like, who is this I'm talking to? This isn't Steph that used to go and drink and this, that, and the third. We used to have a good time. I'm like,
Right. Right.
dude,
It's you manifesting what? You gonna manifest these Don Julio shots we finna take. You better stop playing with me. But like,
she went. She literally turned her head and went like, who are you? She didn't say it, but I saw it in her face. And I was like, huh. And then, what was it? Earlier last year, because me and God tight like that, God told me I was going to lose a friend. And he told me exactly who it was. And it was, mm-hmm. Situation presented itself, happened, she fell off.
wow.
I grieved her. I grieved that friendship because, yeah, it was 10 years. Like, we knew each other. And then I started to think in retrospect. God told me this years ago. Let her go. Like, in retrospect, like, I want to say about, I want to say 2016. I want to say God's like, hey, you need to let her go. I was like, no, that's my friend. Because me and God tight. He know I don't listen like that. You know, I hear him. You know how you did.
We
Hey,
hearing them
you,
though. We
you,
be hearing them for real. Sometimes
yeah,
we be hearing them for real. But I see what you mean though. You like
yeah,
he,
yeah.
he
You
said
know how
something
you
like,
call you and you hear him and you like, yeah, hey, yeah, I'm here, I'm coming, and then you don't hear. I was like, oh, okay, so he's like years later, I'm gonna show you. Let her go.
whoa,
And
here we go.
yep,
And it manifested itself later. And it,
yep,
but you know what's so interesting about words? You can't time when they're gonna affect your life.
no, mm-mm.
You can't time it. You
No, because
can't.
when when God told me, it was like March. I don't know what it is about spring. He's told me other things in spring that's come to pass, and it's been like a 2 to 6 months gap from when he told me and when it comes to pass. Like he told me my brother was going to pass in February of that year. He passed in June. So God told me I was going to lose that friend in March. I don't know what it is about spring. And then that didn't manifest itself until I want to say, ooh, it's been a year. I think
Mm.
it's been September, yeah. So it's been like a year.
And it's, but I also at the same time, I think what we have to do, I think what we have to do a better job of as people, and
Mm.
I think this is
Yeah.
a growth moment for all of us.
Oh
If
yeah.
you're going to speak something out there into the world, like you want to manifest something, then your
Hmm.
next best step is you need to start preparing to be able to receive whatever blessings about to turn around and come here.
That part.
Because if I speak out into the world that I'm going to become a
Hmm.
supermodel,
Hmm.
it's out there now. And it's going to
Hmm.
be a supermodel. The real AE is going to be a supermodel. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, what am I doing in the physical to prepare for that word to return?
Right.
What am I doing to prepare for that? And I think because that's when the whole word faith without work is dead comes into play.
Hmm. That.
But I also think words with no purpose are just as good as hopeless dreams. It's just it's just that's why they always say that the number one place for dreams to die is the graveyard
Yep. That's why
because
it's expensive. It's the most expensive place in the world.
it's the most expensive place in the world because
One of the
I
richest.
have
So,
full
yeah.
faith. I have full faith that there are so many people out there that want to say something, that truly want to get something out there like their word. They really want to speak their mind. They really want to act out on their dream. They really want to manifest some really big things, but they're scared to say it due to the fear of being ridiculed, due to the fear of your word not being accepted. Well, let's just here's the truth. Yeah, here's the truth, yo. Nobody really cares. They only care if you say something and then you physically act on what you just said.
Right.
Now they start caring. Because if you just speak words and don't do nothing about it, your word's as good as dead. So there's no I say like that, no one's really afraid of you. You just say stuff.
Yep.
I'm gonna say this, so I'm gonna say that. Yeah, you almost do it. But we know that you don't act upon your word. Versus someone who acts upon their word, what they said, I'm going to become a multimillionaire, and then start acting like it, and start acting it, and start doing those things. Hey, bro, that's when the you've changed starts coming in. Yeah. That's where the you're different, or that's what you're Hollywood now.
Mm-hmm.
That's when those type of things start happening. So I would advise people, just to come to a close, I would advise people, don't be worried about what you say. Be prepared to act on what you say, and then that reaction will come. If you just say something and don't do anything about it, nothing's gonna happen. Right. Nothing's really gonna happen. But if you say something and then you act on it and you move towards that forward direction, Jordan Peterson said it best, and I'll keep saying this forever and ever. He said, if you're gonna ask a question, be prepared for the answer. If you're going to say something out there and you're going to act on it, you better be ready. You better be ready for what's coming with it, because now the test begins. Now the true testament of what you just said, and if you have the resolve to act out on the word that you said, like Steph had the resolve first, develop the resolve first, and that will allow you to formulate better words, and then those better words can now give you clear direction on where you're going. So find that resolve, find that why, develop that willpower, then get better at journaling and reading, get better at speaking, talk to more people.
Yeah.
Talk to more people, get better at articulation of your words, build clarity. And the only way to build clarity, and I'll do this as an example, if you have a dirty mirror, it's going to take a minute to keep wiping the dirt away for things to get clear. So if you want to get more clear with your word, you're going to have to keep talking. You're going to have to keep speaking. That's the only way you're going to get better at words, or speaking your word, or speaking or manifesting. You have to keep doing it. It's just like a blunt sword. The only way it gets sharp again is you have to keep sharpening and keep sharpening and keep sharpening and keep sharpening, because then once you sharpen enough and you say the right words, it will cut the way you always wanted to. That's when you've gotten good with your word, is when you can say a statement one time and it hits and everybody gets it. That's power. Motivational speakers are good at that. If Eric Thomas said, if you want to succeed, how bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. He said it one time. Stuck.
Yep.
You read a Bible verse one time, stuck. Yep. Someone says something that offends you. You know what that tells you? If someone tells you something that offends you off of one time that they've said it, they've probably practiced saying that in their head without you around. They got really good at saying it, or they've become used to saying things to hurt people, and they got good at it, and now that has been offensive. Oh yeah, you can always make the argument, oh, you need to build tougher skin. Well, but as an example of how sharp
Mhm.
and how impactful your word can be. Think
Mhm.
about all those times that people have offended you, bullied you. They got so good at sharpening that blade of their word to now when they deliver the strike, it hits you once and you'll never
Mhm.
forget it.
Mhm.
So I want Steph to if to if there's somebody out there listening to Steph. You've dealt with death in your family because they spoke in death into their life.
Yeah.
You even spoke losing vision because of the scratch off. You've dealt with 2 to 3 years of really pouring into personal development. You had to let go of a friend for 10 years. You are you consciously work on rereading your words before you even text me back. What would be two things that somebody can take away from today that you believe will help them get better with their word? Based on what we discussed, or
Mhm.
even if not what we discussed, what would be two final pieces of value, I would say, that someone
Mhm.
can grasp and hold on to and go implement in their day to day life right now? What would be two things that what you would say?
Listen to how you speak. Like you said, you don't know how, but you know, listen to how you speak. Listen to your words. Just listen. Like intentionally listen. Just go about your day and listen. Um, See how they, if your word, listen to how your words affect people. Look at how they affect people, even as a joke or um, uh, just a quick word or something like that. Listen to your words, what you speak, um, and reflect on that. And most people are positive, but you know, life is life, and right now, so um, that listen how you speak and listen to the words you speak. And hmm, I'm gonna start there. Just listen how you speak, because that would just open up a lot. That because that I'm thinking of questions like, wow, I really spoke like that. I really spoke like that to this person. Two things.
You
Hmm.
need to say two things right there. Be intentional of what you say, and then be intentional, and then study how your words affect others.
Okay. Yeah.
That could be two really big things. Study what you say first,
Mm-hmm.
and how that affects you first.
Right.
Like if you look in the mirror and say that you're beautiful and it doesn't affect you, do you even believe what you just said?
Mm.
Right?
Hmm.
So maybe you could self actualize your own words. And
Yeah.
then the next layer is build awareness of how your words affect others. Does your words empower? Do your words tear down? Do they make people hesitate? Do they make people confident? Do they make people take action? People will give you people will tell you the truth without ever saying a word. That's a bar.
Hmm.
That's a bar. Good lord.
Look at you.
Oh, that is a good. People will tell you the truth without ever saying a word,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all because of what you said. So, you know, Steph, like I really do. I'm honored to have this conversation. I definitely think that people can really take care of their words, and I hope
Mm-hmm.
people really do after this conversation. And I'll make sure that people find a way to get connected with you. In a
Okay.
way that if they wanted to, if they felt inspired or they want to learn more about you and see more of your work, I'll make sure
Hmm.
that there's plenty of opportunities to people to work with you. And Steph, I know we're short of time, but
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I do appreciate your hour. I appreciate this blessing. Your words
Hmm.
truly meant a lot to me. You've helped me out in ways that
Yeah.
you can't even imagine. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for your time. We definitely got to chop it up soon. All right.
Oh yeah. Of course. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time, the
Absolutely.
opportunity.
Absolutely. I got you for sure.